thanks to everyone for showing up for this training. Me and Paulina will have a little bit a different part in this training. So we will not really look at the statistical analysis, but we will try to think about the process and how it looks from the perspective of the administrative worker who is maybe a coordinator of gender equality plan at the institution, head of a commission that is supposed to monitor implementation of gender equality policies. And we have experienced while working on the GEAM and with the GEAM for some years that sometimes having the data in your hands might be overwhelming, because there is on one side those different statistical questions and methodological questions, but on the other also sometimes the GEAM has been conducted. We know the situations that it was conducted by a person who is not a sociologist or statistician, and but still wants to inform the policies with the data. So we try to look at this process from the perspective of administrative person and see what will be the steps for supporting such a process that GEAM will be useful for the gender equality plan design and also revision, also monitoring its process. In general, we have really analyzed GEAM and looked at the gender equality plan eligibility criteria. And we can say that the GEAM, from the perspective of an institution, is quite well fitted to monitor gender equality plans. Here in this table, and you can see it also in the chapter, we have kind of tried to match the questions and the parts of the survey with the areas that are recommended areas in every gender equality plan. Thus, to demonstrate that really for a person who monitors gender equality plan, GEAM can be a great support. Of course, it's possibly should be complemented by administrative data and also some qualitative data, different types of qualitative data techniques like interviews, focus groups, or even some kind of a text analysis. But it is very of a very wide coverage, and I think it can be of a great usefulness for the person who is coordinating gender equality plan implementation. So now, if we have to imagine a situation that such a person has already conducted the GEAM has been run, this person has data in their hands, and what could be the possible steps so these results are well used and utilized in the institution. Yes. So the first step would be the analysis of the GEAM data and publication of the results, and what to do step by step. So it has been already a bit pinpointed by Dalia that we first need really the overview of the results. And the GEAM has really a lot of indicators that we could use for GEP monitoring. So at the first stage, we recommend to take a very large overview of the results. And on one hand, the statistical results, so the differences between the genders, are maybe a good, let's say, argument to look into some topics more in detail. But you can also look at some of the statistics from the perspective of your institutional needs, of your institutional challenges that you're facing, and concentrate some of the analysis further on selected areas. So I think the first step really for a person who has a GEAM in their hands is to overcome, let's say, this abundance of data, which can be overwhelming, especially for the person that it's not a statistician or a sociologist. But I agree also with the opinion that was mentioned before, that really the first overview doesn't have to be very complicated. It can be simply really an overview of the differences between some of the categories of our employees. And still they can already be a good base for the publication of the results. and of some public presentations and of the discussion on selected topics. We recommend as well to select 2 or 3 topics that really each institution, which are important for the institution to analyze in depth. And these can be connected to the areas of the JEP that we are implementing. It can be also the topics that are of interest of special stakeholder groups that we are working with, or of some working groups that are being often set up when you are implementing the gender equality plan. And the fourth step, it's monitoring of change. If we have more than one JAM, we can also compare results in time. Let's go to the second step. But it's not it's just, let's say, the first part, because what's really important is the usefulness of this data for planning interventions, for planning programs, modifying some activities that are being run in our institutions. And really to understand this usefulness of the GEAM data, we believe that after having the data analyzed, it's really important to involve stakeholders of diverse types. So it could be on one side, special groups, organizations that are functioning in your institution. It can be administrative workers as a subgroup of the employees. It could be early career researchers that often the research shows they have specific needs, and with them discussing the data and designing interventions, I think it's crucial. It also gives them, let's say, the ownership of the results, and also allows us for interpretation of some differences and seeing what's the reasons or the processes behind some disparities, for example. Designing interventions, the second part, it should be and could be informed by GEAM, but what's, I think, critical is to already at this stage to look for indicators that would be useful for monitoring of the progress and of the outcomes of the gender equality plan implementation. And maybe what's not known to everyone, we can also add our own variables to GEAM and to monitor specific activities or specific let's say, programs that have been implemented in our organization. So we will now try, Paulina will show 2 examples based on the data that will, let's say, illustrate, let's say, shortly the process that I have described.
Thank you, Ewa. I think I will have time only for one example, but I will do my best. So in the chapter, we develop examples which demonstrate how GEAM results can inform activities within the JEP, and we use data from an exemplary higher education institutions, and here the GEAM was run twice, in 2020 and then in 2025. So the first example relates to various aspects of perception of gender equality at the institution, and the results look at the data for 2020. The results of GEAM then revealed much room for improvement. So, for example, while most people were confident to report incidents of bullying and harassment to the Equality Office or their immediate manager, still considerable proportions of employees, like from 1/5 to even 1/3, lacked any confidence to report them to the indicated persons or entities. Since 2021, as I wrote beneath the graphs, the institution has implemented several actions. Firstly, new equality body was established with competencies on considering cases of unequal treatment and bullying and harassment. The JEP was implemented with various measures, and information campaigns on the competences of the new equality body and on the GEM were launched. The results of the GEM survey run in 2025 suggest that these measures were moderately effective, let's say. Visibly, less employees than in 2020 declared total lack of confidence in where to report their concerns. And also more people declared confidence, both fair and complete, in reporting them to an equality body or a manager. Next slide, please. This improvement is also confirmed by the partial results of the second question on perception of gender equality, where people declared if they know whom to talk to if they have concerns regarding gender equality. So the proportion of respondents who did not know where to go in such cases visibly decreased from 48 in 2020 to 27% in 2025. But at the same time, the shares of employees perceiving deeper or more sustainable effects of the implemented activities did not increase substantially. As you can see, there was no increase in the proportion of respondents who agree that men and women are treated equally in the institution, and also that their institution is responsive to concerns about gender equality. Only the institutional efforts to promote gender equality became somehow more visible. So we can say that we observe some improvements in this data, but there is still a need to undertake some measures. And the data suggests that this could include setting clear pathways or procedures for reporting unwanted events, increasing reliability and transparency in considering cases of unequal treatment, bullying, and harassment, which could help to increase employees' trust within organization. It is necessary also to address organizational culture, which still is declared to include discriminatory practices. And also there is a need to better communicate the implementation of activities regarding gender equality and job implementation. So to refer to what was said before, also to better tailor the activities, it is necessary to further analyze those data along gender and other social demographics to give insights into and address potential gaps in the perception of gender equality, and also referring to what Ewa was talking about, and to better involve those groups which are affected most in those to the process of implementing the GEP. So within the chapter, we develop also a second example on training opportunities, but I think we can, for the sake of more time of discussion, we can skip this example, as I can see that we run already the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paulina and Eva. I will for the next part is George. So
yeah, we just 7 minutes. We really want to reserve the last 20 minutes for a bigger discussion, comments and so on. So just very briefly, I mean, since it's all online as well in the handbook, let me just repeat the purpose of the second part of the handbook is really, to focus on the thematic analysis, and especially some of the measurement scales that are included in the GEAM, which are taken from the broader literature. If you want to go to the next slide, Dalia, thanks. Which are taken from the broader literature, and in some cases, you need to carry out certain pre-processing steps to understand better, to use actually the data from these measurement scales. So work-life balance is, of course, like a major issue related to gender inequalities, not only in research and innovation, but more broadly. And it takes up quite a bit of space in the GEAM questionnaire. As you can see, it's related to the type of contracts, full-time, part-time contracts. It's related to flexible working arrangement, and there are several questions on, to which degree this is available to employees. Then, of course, there's a big chunk on parental leave. So it's about uptake of parental leave. It's about the measures that support parental leave. and measures then also that facilitate the return to work. So there are many questions there. Then caring responsibilities, of course, for children or dependent adults. And if the respondents are a single parent or carer as well. And then there are specific questions related to work-life balance. One is the work-life conflict scale. There are 4 items from the European Working Conditions Survey on job satisfaction and also on work intensity. And if we go to the next slide, just to show you how this is supposed to work, here we have the work-family conflict scale, which is based, it's quite an established scale that you can consult in this reference included here. And it contains, it has like 2 facets. Like one is how work interferes with family. It's like the first 2 questions there that I included in the GEAM. And then it works also for the reverse relation, how family interferes with work. So altogether, it's 4 questions and 2 questions per facet. And I think another advantage of this scale is that it has been used in the European Social Science Survey, I think, if I remember correctly. So you actually have national representative scores for the scale, which allows you to compare, how your organization fares in comparison to the national average on those work-family conflict, which might also be interesting. And if we go to the next slide, you can then easily explore this. You have here the 4 items with real data, and you see that there's a clear difference between these 2 facets, right? The first 2 questions are on that how your family responsibilities interfere with work, and the other one are the other way around. So you see, that really work eats into your private life much stronger than the other way around. And this first insights, then you can explore in relation to socio-demographic variables, of course, gender, type of contract, is there a difference in the type of contract people have, part-time, full-time? Of course, the care responsibilities should really show you that there are differences, or what are the effects of people taking parental leave or not on how this work life conflict really spells out. So the contents of the chapter basically shows you now how you have to pre-process this data and how you have to group the items in order then to carry out a meaningful analysis with other information in the survey. And if we go to the next slide, the same happens for culture and climate. This is chapter 9, where we have included several items as well, on perceived discrimination, preferential treatment, and then also the broader working culture, where I just want to highlight, if we go to the next slide, the masculinity contest culture, which Anna also referred to, which is a quite interesting scale that captures, if we go to the next slide, please, Dalia, that captures to which degree, masculinity norms are pervasive in your organization. And this might be especially interesting, not so much to detect differences between gender identities, men and women, but actually at the organizational level. So if you run the survey on your entire university, you might then want to explore differences between faculty. So, faculties which are clearly male dominated, like, I don't know, computer science, engineering, to faculties, I don't know, in education, where it's more gender balanced or women are more represented. So you can then understand better how the working climate actually across these different organizational units actually work. And again, you have those different facets in there that we explore in the chapter, how this masculinity contest culture really is a combination of those different elements, to be tough, strong, show no weakness, to really be in good physical shape. You know, is it a very competitive environment? Dog eats dog. So I think this is also a scale that is actually gaining quite a lot of traction because it correlates also quite strongly with experiences of bullying and microaggression, you know, toxic environment and so on and so forth. So I think it's interesting to see how that is the case. Again, you know, it's the same approach. Then you explore a little, and we give you some hints at how you could use them in further downstream analysis. Okay, I think that's it, or at least I want to stop here because then we really have now 20 minutes to open up the discussion to everybody. There's one chapter which is still missing, which is precisely the chapter and scales that we're using for the microaggression, sexual harassment, bullying. This we still have to write, and then I think you know, it's very important chapter, and it's also important because we then update what we took from the UNICEF project. So this is still forthcoming. Okay.